After I finished putting into execution the dreams that he had, I started on my own. And I had some too.
Johnson's dreams went beyond those of virtually any other president the country has ever had. He declared an unconditional war on poverty and pledged to put an end to America's long legacy of racism. It would all be part of an ambitious plan he called the Great Society.
I wake up in the morning and have my briefings and my breakfast and come to the office between 9 and 10 o'clock. Then I work at a rather feverish rate until 1:30 or 2, and I have a swim and take out 15, 20 minutes. Then I go and have a lunch, usually a business lunch, working lunch. And about 3 o'clock, I take a little nap of 20 or 30 minutes, and that breaks the day for me. And then I'm good till 8 or 9 that night, and I usually read till about 1 o'clock. I don't require too much sleep, but I'm never in better health. I never felt better in my life.
In 1964, Landslide Lyndon was elected to his own term of office by the largest percentage of the popular vote in American history.
When Lyndon Johnson became president in his own right, his ambitions rose with the opportunity he saw. He wanted to pass legislation at every opportunity. The endeavors expose a well of idealism somewhere inside him. They also expose a lack of restraint.
Johnson doled out public works projects, prized appointments, and photo opportunities to those who cooperated, and withheld them from those who did not. He saw everything in terms of winning or losing. If nothing else worked, Johnson abruptly cut off any debate and tried to shame a person into compliance, as he did when powerful Senator Richard Russell tried to avoid serving on the Warren Commission.
Well, now, Mr. President, I know I don't have to tell you my devotion to you, but I just can't serve on that commission. Don't tell me what you can do and what you can't, because I can't arrest you, and I'm not going to put the FBI on you, but you're goddamn sure going to serve, I'll tell you that.
He loved the telephone. Oh, people said he had a telephone growing out of his ear. And he also loved to use his size. He was a very tall man, a big man. He was always grabbing people by the lapels, pushing his face up against them, and just scaring them into agreeing with him. The trouble with Lyndon Johnson, as best I can understand it, is that it was all too much. It was all too much. He didn't have enough internal confidence to be able to moderate both his programmatic ambitions and his personal techniques.
His political powers might well have gained Lyndon Johnson recognition as one of the country's most effective presidents, if it were not for Vietnam. As the conflict in Southeast Asia escalated into an undeclared war, Johnson was determined not to let it divert congressional attention away from his domestic legislation. So he secretly escalated the war, providing Congress with overly optimistic military reports in an effort to get complete support.
Anyone served in Congress 25 years, as I had served in Congress, wasn't about to undertake the responsibilities and the dangers I had in South Vietnam without the Congress being with me. And the Congress was with me. But when the going got hard, when the road got longer and dustier, when the casualties started coming in, why, there's certain folks started looking for the cellar.
As the death toll mounted to more than 500 American casualties each week, the country grew bitterly divided.
I think I did a very poor job of pointing up to the American people that one time, two times, a dozen times, we made substantial overtures to Ho Chi Minh, just please, let's talk instead of fight. And not one single instance, not one, did we get anything but an arrogant, tough, unyielding rebuff.
When he was faced with an opponent he couldn't master by either cajolery, persuasion, or intimidation, Ho Chi Minh. And when he faced the consequences of the Vietnam War in terms of popular dissatisfaction, public sentiments changed. And people wanted a commander-in-chief and a man of temperate judgment. They didn't want a politician. And Johnson couldn't change his style. Ultimately, he failed. He tried to do too much. His is a true tragedy. His means of dealing with his own frustrations was resigning from office, in effect. There was not in Lyndon Johnson a saving moderation. It just wasn't in him.
I shall not seek, and I will not accept the nomination of my party for another term as your president. Good night, and God bless all of you.
All his life, Lyndon Johnson used politics to do big things. In civil rights, in education, in poverty programs, and in conservation, he changed the face of American society. But he overreached. And in the end, politics failed him as the war in Vietnam overwhelmed his presidency. He was an ambitious and powerful and driven social reformer who had used political bluster to cover up a deep and almost childlike sense of insecurity.
I don't think that I can ever explain to the American people something that's so deeply embedded in their beliefs as the fact that Lyndon Johnson was an extremely ambitious man who sought power, who enjoyed using it, and whose greatest desire was to occupy the top job in American political life. Now, I have never really believed that I was the man to do that particular job. I always felt that every job I had was really too big for me.